Like, Jin is Oprah. There's a Jin, you're a Jin, everywhere's a Jin.
Everybody gets a Jin.
I mean...
I wouldn't complain.
Yes, please. Welcome back to Rhetorical K-Pop. I'm Sherston.
I'm Aubrey.
And we are back with part 2 of our BTS Most Beautiful Moments in Life analysis. When we see V in I Need You, he likes to wander around listlessly. When he does this wandering, you will notice, if you look closely, that he is dressed completely in black. So he has the black hoodie and a black shirt underneath it. This is actually a symbol that he is in a metaphorical space instead of a literal one.
In fact, in I Need You, a lot of the character arcs expressed are metaphorical, not literal. We'll explain a little bit more about the other character arcs that happen in a blog post that goes along with our next video.
When we see V's literal storyline, he is wearing the white shirt underneath his hoodie. So they did a visual cue for you so you can tell the difference between his internal wanderings and the external, like literal, real world things that he is doing. Because we see him wandering and disconnected from everybody else, he actually is in a headspace that leads to he kills a guy, which actually leads to the beginning of the prologue, where we see him hiding, covered in blood, wearing the white shirt, placing a phone call. We assume he is calling Jin because you never hear someone respond into the phone.
The important thing to realize right off the bat here is that the events of the prologue are a little bit backwards because we are starting with V making the phone call when in fact the events of the prologue have already happened before V makes the phone call.
Yeah, he's remembering the trip that they took to the beach. In fact, there's 2 different layers of looking back throughout the prologue because you have him looking back to when Jin was alive, you also have him looking back to the memorial trip that they take. So it's only at the beginning of the video and at the end of the video that you have the quote-unquote present.
Getting back to the phone call and the actual opening to the prologue, we have V calling who we assume to be Jin, and what he actually says on the phone is, "I need to see you."
He's basically telling you in that opening that the only way he's gonna see Jin is if he's dead too.
Moving on from that point, right after that scene, we have the switch to the remembrance place where we have V laying down on a mattress in the middle of nowhere.
Which actually mirrors the shot we saw in I Need You of Jin laying down in a way that mimics the grave, so they're giving you some more imagery saying, look what's coming.
After everybody else shows up and Jungkook turns around and sees Jin, the only person that we see in that scene actually touch or interact with Jin away from the camera is V. He goes and he actually hugs Jin.
After V hugs Jin, you see some interactions that again we talked about last time, Jin interacting with them through media, but you also see some strange shots where the director of the music video is foreshadowing for you what's going to happen at the end of the music video. In fact, they mirror pretty closely a lot of the shot-by-shot stuff so that when you see it again at the end, you're reminded of it.
One of those moments is when V climbs the urban ruins in that first group space that we have, where he climbs up and is standing up higher and everyone else is sitting down lower and they're gesturing for him to come back down. The interesting thing I find about the shot too is that it doesn't just mirror what's going on, but you also have like water in the little canal and you have the sun setting, so it's almost an exact replica of the shot at the end. A lot of the events that happen in the middle part of the prologue are much more important to the individual character arcs than they are to the journey of V, so we're going to go ahead and leave most of that to our next video and continue on to the actual beach space.
Yeah, at the beach space when we actually arrive, that next morning, there's a moment where you see somebody forming their fingers into a circle and looking through it, which is actually Cookie doing that, and it kind of mirrors the way in which Jin was watching them through actual media, like the cameras, but this is signaling something really important to you. Again, if they repeat images, you should always pay attention to that. In this particular case, we have the key rhetorical shift. You remember we always talk about how there's a turn that happens? This is the turn in V's story. So we're moving from him remembering the past to him in the present after he's committed the murder and the choices that he makes in response to that.
We're still seeing all of the other boys because he is still remembering things as he's going to kill himself, but they're not actually there. Instead of seeing the interaction just in the past, we're now seeing the interaction between past and present.
Because, you know, V has chosen this particular place to die, I think because it is associated with so much good and so much happiness. It's a place where he's gone in the past to find peace, which he hasn't had since Jin died. So he's returning to this space to try and find it again.
Because he wants to find Jin, because he wants to see him.
Right, so when you see the members in this particular space, remember that they're the ones from his memories. Part of the way you can tell that it's V of the present is he is again in that black hoodie. He has a different colored shirt on. It's yellow.
Another way that we can tell that the boys are not actually there is that the only person who sees V as he's going up the ladder is Jin through the camera.
Which is when Jin is kind of fulfilling that guardian angel role. As he's watching over V, he sees him begin to climb up the ladder.
It's almost like Jin is looking at them to say, somebody help him, but they're all so busy that they're just encouraging him to jump and be silly instead. And that's kind of an emotional metaphor for what's going through V's head.
So at the end when he jumps off the platform into the water and you have the sunset framing it, he's killing himself. He's V dead.
At the very beginning of Run, we have V in a black room all by himself where he falls back into some water.
Which, as we said, mirrors kind of what you see at the end of the prologue where he's jumping off into the water. However, this is a metaphorical space because with V, black usually is the color representing his metaphorical spaces, like when we talked about the black t-shirt, now we have a black room. So he's kind of falling into death. But there's some key things that even happen in just how he's styled for this particular section that kind of reinforce some of the he is dead imagery. V dead.
For example, he is specifically wearing a Nirvana sweater, and the associations that go along with Nirvana are...
Well, first off, there's the association of, you know, Nirvana means, you know, finding that inner peace that you usually only achieve after dying multiple times and refining yourself spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. But then there's Kurt Cobain, which, the lead singer of the band Nirvana, who died young and tragically.
Which also gives us that association to go with it, since he's wearing a Nirvana t-shirt as a Nirvana the band.
Yeah, because it actually has the logo that's associated with it. The other place where you see a Nirvana t-shirt is in Prologue. You see
Rat Monster.
Rat Monster wearing a gray Nirvana shirt, and that's at a time when he is at peace, having accepted Jin's death. But then that is removed from him when V kills himself, which is why you don't see him appear in the Nirvana shirt. Instead, it is V who, by dying, is finding peace.
And also taking it away from Rapmon.
When V actually falls into the water, it creates a very, very large splash that fills this black room with the white reflection, which kind of signifies, at least how I understand it, that he is in the process of crossing over. Then his actual struggles in the water are him kind of resisting that being dead, kind of similarly how we saw Jin struggling to accept his own death for the first half of it. And then there's the key looking into the camera moment that happens about halfway through where V turns in the water and looks into the camera. That's the turn in his journey in this particular video, where he then comes to accept it. So when he emerges out of the water at the end, it's black, calm, and still, kind of signifying he has reached that state of acceptance of his death and also achieving a sense of peace.
The final nail in the coffin, as it were, is the scene where Jin and V are sitting at a table playing cards, kind of. Jin builds this house of cards, and then V, not even gently, just throws the cards straight at Jin, which is kind of expressing his anger. It's the rhetorical turning point for Jin in that music video, because as the guardian angel figure, it's him realizing that there's nothing he can do because the cards all get thrown at him.
Yeah, and you even see that in the way that Jin begins to stare blankly and upsetly into the camera. I'm just gonna roll with upsetly.
To go along with the House of Cards motif, later in the music video, like a couple scenes later, not even really that much farther later, Rat Monster is walking through the train yard where they had that party, and he goes to pick up one of the cards off the floor, and it's an ace, but it's been painted over with a black butterfly. So that's it for part 2 of this video series that we're doing on the Most Beautiful Moments in Life saga by Bangtan.
In the next video, we're going to focus on specifically wrapping up all of the other character arcs, because we've kind of used videos 1 and 2 just to prove who's dead and who's not. So the last one's going to focus on what does it actually mean. What are they trying to tell you with these 2 dead characters and the arcs that the other members of the band go through.
If you like us, you should stick around and subscribe. You can click on her face. She's adorable. If you'd like to continue the conversation, we would love to hear from you, so you can go ahead and comment below. That would be super awesome.
And if you really, really like us, you can share the video with your friends, Twitter, Tumblr, all of the things, and you can even find us on those kind of social media outlets and talk to us there too.
You can also give us a like.
We'd like you to like us. I'm such a nerd. It's okay. It's fine. As long as you guys like me, we're somewhere, right? She might not like me at the end of the day, but that's fine.
It's fine.
That's fine.
Everything is fine.
We'll see you next time with our next video from the Bangtan series.